All right, here we are. We're back. We're live. Let's talk us some societal collapse. So, I'm going to need these. Professor Eliot Jacobson, who I've spoke about on this channel before, he says that comes in my wife's newsfeed. Quote, it's from him and it's in quote marks. Now I'm not sure if I'm quoting him or if he's quoting somebody else. Here's a quote. It would really make a difference if scientists talked more about societal collapse and how to prepare for that, because it would signal now it's getting real. It's much more tangible than 1.5 degrees C. So there's quite a bit to unpack there. I don't know if I want to do a lot of translation. Either you kind of get the topic or you don't. This is a bit contentious, actually. His ask here is a bit contentious in science. Well, let me just state the obvious. He's right. More scientists need to have this conversation with the people who follow them or listen to them. And actually, I would take a little. I would go a little further even than what Professor Eliot Jacobson is saying. I would say that scientists should publish peer-reviewed papers on the topic. Actually, put their credentials out there on the line. Don't just go to some book club, to sign your book and say, oh yeah, we need to talk more about societal collapse. They need to publish papers. I want to see the papers. I want to see the papers in the journals with the co-authors, and I want them peer-reviewed, and I want the proper title, the headline that says societal collapse is imminent, and I want CNN to cover it live. Okay. Here's the title. Societal collapse is imminent. Blah, blah, blah. Leading scientists, blah, blah, blah. Whole list of scientists, all these peer-reviewed, and okay. I want to see it. I want to see it. Jump. Do it. It's easy to go on your Twitter feed and say, oh, societal collapse, doom, doom. Publish a paper. I want to see it. And the controversy is that they won't. Why won't they? Okay. Let me explain to you why they won't. I'm a scientist. I know how this works. Okay. Let me explain to you why they won't. And then I'll have to explain to you why I am. Okay. Not that I'm publishing papers anymore, but let me explain to you why they won't. It's called, and it is discussed in these terms among scientific circles. Okay. People who evaluate science, who popularize science, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all the others. This is how they talk about it. It's called scientific reticence. Reticence. Look it up. I can look it up for you. It's hesitancy. Okay. You're reticent to say something. You're reticent to get involved. You were reticent to go with the group. Okay. It means you were hesitant. You were holding back, and that you had a reason for doing that. It's speaking to your frame of mind that you are not doing this. Okay. You are reticent. And why would people be reticent to do something? Well, generally they're fearful, right? They're afraid. And if you're a scientist, what are you afraid of? Well, let me point something out to you here. Scientists, used to be scientists like, Isaac Newton and Ben Franklin and Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, they either had a lot of their own money or they had patronage from people who just liked to watch them tinker and play around with things. Okay. It wasn't until much later, like maybe 140 years ago, possibly, that science became something for everyone. When you could go to a university and you could, you could pay your way, or someone could pay your way. You could get a scholarship, or go to university, learn science, go work in a lab somewhere for the government or for industry, right? A lot of the people who did work that we now value a lot were working in institutions, and they're working in universities. They're working in government laboratories, right? Governments have a lot of interest in science. Universities have a lot of interest in science. So you can get a job in these places. And of course, if you're at a university, you can teach. Okay. So, but here's the problem. Oh, here's the problem. When you had your own money and you just did whatever you wanted, you didn't have to worry about what anyone thought about your work. But now that you're working in a government lab, NASA, or the, the Weather Service, or the Earthquake Service, or the oil exploration services, or whatever. Now that you're working for the government, you have to be careful what you say, because there's a lot of politics in government. And if your grant comes from some federal agency and there's a denialist, climate change denialist, and at the head of your agency, and you start publishing something about global heating or societal collapse, then they're going to come along and say, hey, you know what, I pay your salary, and I don't pay your salary to publish nonsense and fictions and hoaxes. Okay, that's what they'll say. If you work for a corporation, they're going to walk into your lab while you're working, and they're going to say, hey, I saw that paper that you submitted to your supervisor to see if you could get it published. We don't pay you to raise the alarm on the work we do here in big oil or big pharma or big ag or whatever the big thing is. We want you to help us make profits, make better products, serve people all the better, and make profits and be innovative, and maybe make some money, right? And so, no, we don't want you publishing alarmist, hoax-filled, crap that doesn't further our profits. Not that profits are the most important thing, but we also want to have some profits. So, please don't do that. Stop doing that. Or otherwise, you do that on your own time, meaning you don't work for us. Okay. And so they're fearful. Almost all, and it's just as bad at universities, by the way, because the universities get their funding from, I wonder where it is. Oh, maybe corporations, right? And why do corporations fund universities? Why do corporations endow chairs? Why do corporations give block grants to universities? Why do corporations go to universities asking for studies? You know why? Because they want to control the output. That's not a conspiracy. That's what they want to do. So scientific reticence permeates the scientific field. Permeates it. And people just don't want to, frankly, people don't want to endanger their careers. But not by publishing something that's wrong or stupid or retarded, okay? That's demonstrably false, anti-science. They don't want to demolish their careers by publishing something that their bosses aren't going to like. And that's not the same thing as being stupid or wrong. You can go down an avenue of scientific exploration and find out that smoking tobacco is cancerous. And do you think the tobacco company that you work for is going to let you publish that? Do you think even the government of your country is going to let you publish that when there's half of Congress is receiving money from the tobacco industry? No, the answer is no, right? So you just can't do that. You can't do it. And so scientific reticence is a thing, and it has always been a thing. It's been a thing my entire career, and then it surfaces finally because of this whole global heating, climate change thing. We have satellites in the sky. We have multi-million-dollar projects to monitor the Earth. Data pouring out of satellites, data pouring out of sensors all over the planet, pouring in from all corners of the planet, data. And it's publicly available, most of it, because it's paid for by the governments, right? And so the scientists start looking at the data and they start publishing their results. And this scientist publishes this little paper, and this team publishes another little paper. And there's some things being taught in universities, and pretty soon there's some conversations, and pretty soon there's an IPCC report, and then there's something else. And then the governments wake up and the corporations wake up and they say, what? Wait, how do we lose control of this process? Who are these people? What are they talking? Can't we control these people? I mean, that's literally the conversation. Can't we control these people? They can just talk about anything they want to talk about. Who's paying these people salaries? Can't you rein them in? Can't you control them? Of course, the cat got out of the bag because the data was freely available. And so anyone can look at it. And so after a while, the scientists just had to stop talking about it. It's self-censoring. They had to self-censor, and they became reticent. And now it's like horse blinders on, right? They just look at the data and they say as little as possible about it. In fact, a lot of the papers are just, here's the data. Line goes like this. Line goes up. And in the end, the line went up. And we're certainly confident about this line. And bye. That's it. You get no context, you get no discussion, you get no message about how this impacts civilization and humanity and agriculture and habitat and species and extinctions, and you don't get anything. You get nothing. You get nothing at all. It's just here's data, a bunch of dots. We draw a line through the dots, and look, well, it's doing that. And here's our confidence interval on this line, and we'll be back next year with some more data. Bye. Because they can't stop you from publishing the data. I mean, that's why we have data. We need to talk about the data. And we justify collecting the data because we publish the data, right? So they can't, the bosses can't really stop you from doing that. But you don't have to say anything about it. Self-censorship for the win. My career is okay. I pass all my papers through the hands of my supervisors and my boss and my, the government agency I work for. I pass all my papers to them. Their lawyers look at it. And then the lawyers consult the lawyers for the other guys, the corporations or the whatever, and they all talk. And then they send my paper back to me with lines through the parts they don't want. Okay. Got it. And then I publish it. I'm like, yep. And if I ever go to a conference, I say, yep, that was my paper. Yep. What do I think about it? I think it's a good paper. It's got data in it. Can I talk about the data? Data go up. Yep. How's that going to impact? Oh, not my department. I have warnings from the lawyers. I mean, I've been advised not to talk about that. Yeah. Yep. Data. 1.5 degrees C above baseline. Yeah. Data. Line go up. I don't know what that means. Just line go up. See? Line go up. Self-censorship, reticence, fear. These people are being attacked all the time. Jason Box. I don't know how old he was when he was up on. I love telling this story. Oh, God. I feel sorry for the guy. But anyway, it happened. Jason Box, climatologist, glaciologist, up on the top of Greenland, up on the 3-mile thick ice sheet, right? And he's looking at data, and he's talking to the other climatologists, and Greenland is melting. And later on, they report that, oh yeah, the Greenland ice sheet is in terminal decline. No one even knows what that means. I know what that means, and Jason Box knows what it means too, because I don't know what the context was, who asked him or what, but his answer was, yeah, we're fucked. We're mostly fucked. And I laugh because it's so frank, right? It's just amazing. I laugh every time I think about it. I mean, that's what I would say. I'll say that right here. Oh yeah. Professor Eliot Jacobson. Yeah, we're fucked. We're totally fucked, right? You know that. That's why you're asking me to get on here in place of yourself and say it in your stead, right? You're asking me to say it. So I'm gonna say it. Yeah, we're fucked mostly. We're mostly fucked. Anyway, Jason Box, Dr. Jason Box, Dr. Box, never said that again. Never said that again. And anytime he's interviewed, he's very sober and he's very careful. And you can just feel the lawyer standing behind him and whispering in his ear, "Don't do it. Don't do it, Jake. Don't do it. Don't do it." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well, the data is looking interesting. It's very interesting this year, and we're looking for more data. We're going to be back up here next year studying this some more. And yeah, data is good. We like having data. This data looks bad. I mean, the trends are the trends, and the line goes in a direction in 1.5 degrees C. Thank you. Goodbye." And you can just see him struggling with it. But he said that once. And when he got back to his lab, I'm sure all of his bosses and all of his colleagues, they all dragged him out in the hallway and say, "Look, man, you can't say that. You're going to endanger all of our jobs if you keep talking like that. We're all going to lose our grants. They're going to fire all of us. The whole floor in this university building will be empty because we all associated with you. And you said that. You kept saying it. So don't say it anymore." So he doesn't say it anymore. Now he'll do a reaction video to this video. He's like, "None of that happened. That's not how I feel. And I can say anything I want." Like, yeah, really? Well, Dr. Eliot Jacobson is asking you to just come back out here and say it again. You going to do it, pal? You going to say it? You going to say it? You going to say it? Yeah, I don't think so. Scientific reticence, fear. It's based on fear. Fear. They're afraid. Now, these days it's even worse because there are denialist fuckers out there. They'll kill you, because Donald Trump says it's all a hoax. The 45th president of the United States says, yeah, it's all a hoax. It's all from the Chinese. Well, first of all, it's a hoax. And if it's not a hoax, then it's because of the Chinese. Okay. So it's like, well, one or the other. Okay. And if it is, and if it's not a hoax, actually, it's a good thing. Well, pick your lane, pal. Is it a hoax or is it a good thing? Okay. But it's word salad, right? They just run all this shit together. And the reality is, yeah, we're pretty much fucked. Societally, society is just not going to survive this. Let me explain to you why. And then I'm going to talk about people surviving this. Let's talk about society first. Society surviving this or not is actually low-hanging fruit. There's no way that civilization can survive this. Not a chance. It's a death watch now. It's a death watch. And when's it going to collapse? What's the over-under? 2 years? 5 years? I'm thinking I'm more like in the middle, 2 or 3 years. This whole thing is going to collapse. This whole circus act is this tent's going to fold up. Okay. And why is that? Because global heating, and I'm calling it global heating. I'm always doing that. I'm going to repeat again why I'm doing that. Climate change is an effect. It's something that you observe in the storms, the weather, the waves, the wind, the whatever. Okay. Global heating is the cause. You can't fight climate change. Lightning, thunder, rogue waves. What are we talking about? You're going to fight all that? Seriously? Really? You're going to fight all that? Okay. You could fight global heating. You actually could. You really could do that if you wanted to. If you had the balls, you could do that. All right. You can't fight climate change. You can't fight desertification. You can't fight the Amazon rainforest reverting to a savanna. You can't fight species extinction. You can't fight heat waves. You can't fight droughts. You can't fight tropical storms coming ashore every other week. Okay. But you could put an end to global heating. Maybe. I mean, it's with every passing year, the chances are slimmer and slimmer. But there still is a non-zero chance that you could do it. There is zero chance that you could fight climate change because you can't. By the time you see it, you say, oh no, we have a 10-year drought. Well, now you're in the middle of a 10-year drought, right? How are you going to fight that? It just happened to you. The war, the battle is over, right? Oh no, we have a drought. You can't fight that. It happened. Now your landscape is all dried up and your animals have died and your plants have withered. And yeah, now you have a drought. You can't fight that. It's already happened to you. It's an effect of something else. And what's an effect of? Global heating. Could we stop the global heating? Well, now let's have that conversation, shall we? Yes, you could stop global heating, maybe. Right now, I don't know what the odds are. Coin toss odds, 50-50. But at least it isn't zero, right? It isn't after the fact. Yeah, you could stop global heating. You could stop the globe from heating more than it already is. Does that help? Does that work for you? How do you do that? Well, you stop enhancing the greenhouse effect. Oh, well, if that's all we have to do, then let's just do it. Yeah, thank you. I'm really glad that you're on board. Okay, well, the way you stop enhancing the greenhouse effect is you eliminate, not reduce, not phase out, not phase down. You eliminate carbon emissions in the atmosphere. Oh, okay, carbon emissions. That sounds like a terrible thing. All right, so let's get on with that, and then that helps us, reduce global heating or eliminate global heating. Yes, right. So great. So how do we reduce and eliminate carbon emissions into the atmosphere? I'm really on board with this. Okay, you just have to leave all fossil fuels in the ground. Did I hear you correctly? Did you say leave all fossil fuels in the ground? Yeah. If you leave all fossil fuels in the ground, then you can eliminate additional carbon emissions into the atmosphere, and that will, at some point, maybe coin toss odds, put a halt on enhancing the greenhouse effect, which is where the global heating comes from, which is where the climate change comes from. Yeah, you could just leave it in the ground. Leave it in the ground. Let's all say it together, folks. Leave it in the ground. Let's sing our song. Sing our leave it in the ground song. Leave it in the ground. Leave it in the ground. Leave it in the ground. eliminates additional carbon emissions into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It enhances the greenhouse effect. Once you enhance the greenhouse effect, then you create global heating as a phenomenon. And global heating, the phenomenon of global heating, which you can measure with a thermometer. It's instrumental, okay? You can measure it with a thermometer. You can measure it from space from a fucking satellite, all right? Once you've put a halt on that, then maybe coin toss odds, you reduce the impacts from climate change. Maybe. I don't know. It's worth a try. It's our only hope, really. Now, here's where the societal collapse comes in. And this is why societal collapse is absolutely guaranteed. It's not even coin toss odds. Societal collapse at this point, right now, today, January, whatever it is, 28th. Well, actually, since probably 40 years ago. Why am I looking at the calendar? I'm saying this on January 28th, but really starting about 40 years ago, society was doomed. Doomed. Just outright doomed. Didn't have a future. Maybe even 70 years ago. Didn't have a future anymore. Did not have a future. Done. Now here's why. If you don't leave fossil fuels in the ground, then there is going to be so much global heating as a result of enhancements to the greenhouse effect that you basically destroy all habitat on Earth for plants and animals, including the crops we grow, the animals we raise for food, and ourselves. And I've said many times here on different videos that you could easily, it's just close. You could easily end up in a situation where you must be under air conditioning 24 hours a day most of the year. No, in the northern hemisphere, there might be 4 months in the winter, the dead of winter, when you don't have to be under air conditioning all the time. But then the other, 6 or 8 months out of the year, you have to be under air conditioning all the time. So air conditioning in your home, in your garage for when you get in your car, so the car is not hot. Then you air conditioning in your car so that you can drive down the road to your supermarket or your workplace. And those are also air conditioned. Oh, and by the way, you can't really park your car out in the parking lot because what if you ended up 300 feet away? You might die before you get inside back into the air conditioning. So now we have to park all of our cars in parking structures that are like sealed, right? Have doors that open and close like airlocks. And you drive in there and it's air conditioning, right? So, and then there's underground walkways from the parking structure. So you don't have to be above ground and be exposed. And there's underground walkways into the mall or into the shopping center or into the business park or something like that. And if you want to walk outside, you want to walk your dog. I mean, that would be stupid because if you wanted to walk your dog, you will have to be in a spacesuit with air conditioning. I guess your dog too, for that matter. Dog would have to be in a spacesuit. Already, people can't walk their dogs on certain days because the sidewalks are so hot it burns their paws. So they have to put little boots on them. Can you imagine this? People are putting up with this. The sidewalk is so hot it'll injure the animal. You have to take it to the vet. You have to put boots on your dog to walk on the sidewalk. You're wearing shoes, right? So you don't really understand the problem. But your dog doesn't have shoes. Well, then now they do. You have to put boots on your dog to walk outside. And if you don't leave fossil fuels in the ground and you keep doing what you're doing, then that's going to be your society. Now, you may be thinking, oh, air conditioning 24/7, most of the time, every place. That sounds pretty good to me. All right. You don't have electricity for that. You think you do, but you don't. No, you could make more electricity, but a lot of the electricity you're going to make is going to be from fossil fuels, but you can't do that, right? Because now you're making the situation worse. So that means you need more solar panels, more wind farms, probably nuclear, and I don't even know what all else. And are we doing that? No, we're not. Could we do that? I don't think so. Here in the US, we don't manufacture any of those things. We don't manufacture wind turbines. We don't manufacture solar panels. We don't manufacture nuclear power plants. We don't do any of those things here in the US. So we would have to import that technology from somebody else. Are they going to sell it to us? Well, not if we're at war with them. Not if we're having trade embargoes with them. Not if they're willing to punish us. And once global heating becomes a thing and we're running around the planet begging people to sell us air conditioning and solar panels and wind turbines and the whole lot. And they're going to say, well, if you really want this kind of stuff, then we need concessions. We need trade concessions. We need political concessions. And I want to invade Taiwan, and I want to invade South Korea, and I want to invade the Philippines, and I want to invade Eastern Europe, and I want to invade Finland. And you can't stop me because I have the stuff you need. Okay. So that's a societal collapse. You either bend over for them, give them everything they want forever, or they go to war with you. Or you just don't have the stuff. You don't have the electricity because you didn't do the solar, you didn't do the turbines, and you had to give up the fossil fuels. And that means the coal-fired power plants and the gas-fired power plants, they all get shut down, and now you don't have enough electricity. Oh, what? Actually, you have enough electricity for the important people. Everybody else can just suck it up, buttercup. Well, okay, well, then these people are going to riot. They're going to say, well, you've thrown us under the bus, and now, we're dying of heat exposure, and our kids can't go to school because the schools aren't educated, air conditioned. So now we have a two-tier class society. It used to be that money was the arrangement. Now it's air conditioning. And the rest of us, we go outside, we run the risk of dying. We get in our car and we go down the road, and our car doesn't have air conditioning, or it doesn't work properly, or it's an old car, and we run the risk of dying to get to your stupid bullshit job, cleaning toilets or whatever. Yeah, that leads to societal collapse. That leads to resentment, anger, frustration, and fear. Fear that if they don't get things to work for them, they will perish. And that's if you try to adapt, because you can't adapt for everybody. You just can't do it. And then let's say you manage to adapt for the important people, and the unimportant people either, well, how do I say this? Die, I suppose. Well, now what are you going to do for food? Because for one thing, those people were the people who worked in your fields. Didn't think of that. But also, it's so hot, the fields don't work. Most people don't know this, but there are two types of plants according to their biochemistry. There are C3 plants and C4 plants. I'm not going to discuss it. You can look it up. C4 plants do reasonably well in hot environments, and C3 plants don't. And that's not a matter of how much water you give them. You give them plenty of water. C3 plants at a certain temperature, they just shut down. And you can water them, and they're just done. It's too hot for them. Their biochemistry breaks down. The C4 plants can continue a little further. So which are the important plants? Are the C3 plants the important plants, or the C4 plants the important plants? I'll give you one guess. That's right. We eat the C3 plants. C4 plants were a later evolutionary model, and not that widespread. Now, we could do bioengineering, and we could fix somehow, I don't know, the C3 plants and make them either more resilient to heat or make them C4 plants. Good luck with that. That's some heavy lifting right there, Bubba. I don't know how you're going to do that, but hey, we could innovate ourselves, right? And now you're eating frankenfoods. God only knows what they did to make these things grow in the heat. Who even knows what's in there? And are you going to be okay with that? Well, I guess you're going to have to be okay with that, right? And what if Monsanto or Bayer or some other conglomerate decides, oh, and by the way, since we just saved the entire fucking world from fucking starvation, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. Not too much, but, because of our patents and licenses and franchise deals and all this, it just means that the cost of your food triples. That's all. We think that's fair. Triple the cost of your food. We think that's fair. And then since no one can work in the fields, the plants can grow in the fields because you did all this genetic modification. Now the plants can grow in the fields, but oh, wait, the humans can't work in the fields. We still have that problem. Oh, and by the way, we're trying to restrict our fossil fuel consumption. So the tractor thing, that's not really going to work. And so now we're just going to have robots, robotic field workers, right? And maybe some of our food grown in greenhouses, which are just another type of robot. And so maybe there's less food. How many robots can you really have? and who's going to manufacture them and how, and how much are they going to cost. And so you have robot field workers in your frankenfood fields. And where are the humans? Well, they didn't have enough money to buy air conditioning, so they're not really a problem anymore. Right? We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. It's very sad, except it didn't happen. It's a hoax that anybody died because of global heating. That's just a hoax. Never happened. The population of the world, we don't talk about that. The current population of the world, we don't. No, that's just a number. It kind of misses the whole point of humanity. We're not just a number, whether it's 8 billion or 2 billion or 1 billion. We don't talk about numbers anymore. 500 million. We don't talk about numbers, even that one. Because we have the robot farms, and we have the solar panels, and we have the wind arrays, and the frankenfoods coming in from the franken fields tended by robots, and we're all living in air conditioning, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It. And so you can still go to the mall, and you're underground, and there's the few people that have to work outside. We don't really care about them, but we make sure they have their little spacesuit they can wear with the onboard air conditioning. They're doing mostly okay, because they have to work outside. Construction workers. And we'll give them spacesuits. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. They're happy to have the work. They're happy to be alive. I mean, they're happy to have the work. Spacesuits. Because it's so fucking hot. All right. So maybe that's not societal collapse, but a 90% die-off of humanity kind of sucks. Because that's what would happen. Because all the changes I just outlined, air conditioning everywhere, 24/7, robotic fields, frankenfoods, C3 crops become C4 crops because of, genetic engineering, all that. That's not going to scale. That doesn't get to go everywhere. That gets to go a few places, right? And who are the few that are going to get that? Oh, well, people who don't mind spending 3 times as much for food when it's available, because the frankenfields are really not that abundant. It was hard. And the robots, we never really caught up making the number of robots we needed. But then by the time we were ready to make lots of field robots and, robotic field hands and robotic tractors and all electric and, lithium ion batteries for all this crap. And by the time we got all that kind of ready to ramp up to feed the world was only 800 million people. So it was fine. I mean, I didn't really say that. That I know you've heard that, but that's a hoax. Society didn't really have a demographic implosion. Okay, it's fine. Everyone's happy. Aren't you happy? Good. Got here. Okay, that's how you get societal collapse. You just can't cope. You can't cope. And it's always going to be a combination of, well, we had to make some difficult choices. So we had to push some people off the lifeboat. And then there's going to be, well, there were other things that we just didn't have any choice about. The temperatures just kept climbing, and the amount of food we could raise on the fields just kept declining. And of course, there was not as many people to work the fields. So we had to innovate, just do our innovation dance. Yay, we're innovating. And now we have robots working in the fields. But, there aren't too many robots, so there's not quite as much food. So it's probably a good thing that all those people died off. I mean, wait, that didn't really happen. I didn't mean to say that. And yeah, so something collapsed. Something collapsed. And what if during all that, the people who are about to be pruned from the family tree, get upset about that? And what if there's riots? And what if there's food riots? And there's political riots? And there's, I don't want to die riots? And there's don't throw me under the bus riots, right? What if all that happens? What if they don't want to go quietly into that long night? What if they don't want to become locally extinct, which could easily happen? What if they don't want their ancient culture wiped out by a bunch of people living in the north who just can't give up their daily drive to their Starbucks latte? Okay. What if they don't want that? What if that's not their thing? What if that's not their idea? And they might not. There might be huge, massive unrest. And if there is, and if that spreads to the north, where all the wealthy people with their air conditioning live, right? How is that going to work for them? Are they prepared to take on that kind of existential combat? I don't know. I could pencil out a dozen ways that society collapses, a dozen ways, all of them insurmountable, inevitable. Almost any scenario that you could come up with on how you're going to manage global heating or manage climate change or take us into a future where we have all the fossil fuels we want, but we don't have global heating, and some impossible combination of things. Almost any scenario you can come up with, I can pencil out a half a dozen ways that it just blows completely up, just blows up in your face based on physics. Just temperatures, food production, C3 versus C4, arable land, precipitation, just physics, man. You want to do this? All right, let's do this. Let's do this shit. Yeah, I can turn your world upside down in 5 minutes. Physics, science. Yeah, scientists don't like to talk about this. Eliot Jacobson is right. No one wants to talk about this, except me. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it all day long. You want to sit down and talk to me about this? Yeah, well, you better buckle up, Buttercup. You sit yourself down and you just listen. Let me tell you how this is going to work out. But artificial intelligence, yeah, that'll work for a few people. That'll help them. And you're probably among the them, right? I know I am. I got every technology. I'm surrounded by it. I'm embedded in this thing, and it's all going to work perfectly fine for me, I'm sure. So I should be the least person concerned. I should be the last person concerned. I got really nothing to lose. If I just sat here and let business as usual wash over me, like just wash over me and take me into that beautiful utopian future with frankenfoods and robo fields, and everybody is clean and happy, and no one sweats, and everyone's in the air conditioning 24/7, and it's air conditioning underground and it's air conditioning above ground. And if I have to go outside and for any reason, like I'm a stupid person, I want to prune my hedges or something, well then there's 100 varieties in all colors of spacesuits I can buy with built-in air conditioning, and they look almost like regular clothes. They've done amazing things with battery technology and compressor technology and condenser technology. They're amazing things to make these spacesuits that look almost like regular clothes. In fact, I wear mine in the house. I'm so happy with it. I just wear my spacesuit in the house. Thank you very much. It's the height of fashion now. Everybody wears them. We don't talk about why we're wearing them, but we wear them and we're perfectly happy. And I could just sit here in my office with my internet and my YouTube and my everything else. I could just let all this wash over me. Just like the benedictions from heaven just wash over me because I'm the perfect person. I ended up lucky. I got the education. I got the great neighborhood. I'm located in the perfect sweet spot in North America. I'm surrounded by technology. I'm surrounded by banks full of money. I'm surrounded by politicians who don't give a shit. It's perfect. Absolutely. I'm in the perfect spot. I mean, right here, I could just sit here and just let it wash over me. Thank you, Jesus. Putting me in the right place and giving me the right skin color, washing over me. I could do that, but I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm sitting here. Of course, nobody's listening, but I'm sitting here and I'm ranting like a madman because you're fucked. We're all fucked. I mean, even if I am not personally fucked, if 90% or 99% of humanity is going to die over the next 20 years, then, really, morally, since I had to sit here and watch this happen and did nothing about it, yeah, I'm culpable, right? I don't expect anybody who's culpable, who sat back in their office and let the benefits of technology and wealth wash over them. Okay, I don't expect those people to go out and commit suicide. They're not. They're just going to sit in their office. They're just going to. I love this beautiful business as usual, and I got my air conditioning, and I even got a spacesuit, and I love the color. Okay, I don't expect people to run out and commit suicide. But if we're going to sit here and officiate over the destruction of 99% of humanity who don't have all those things washing over them, then I think we're a bunch of fuckers. I'm sitting here not being a motherfucker. I'm sitting here saying it's going to be bad. I can easily, back of the envelope calculations, come up with a 99% die-off of humanity in the next 20, 30 years. 99%. 99%. Well, that's extinction. No, it isn't. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't spring that one on me. We're not going extinct. We're going to survive this. Some of us will, who got the air conditioning, who got the spacesuit in 3 different colors. Some of us will be fine. We'll eat the Franken foods. We'll innovate. We'll do our innovation dance. We'll buy the innovation stocks. And we won't say nothing because we're afraid of being thrown off the island. We're all going to be a bunch of lying fuckers. Or, alternative to all that, we could today, right now, today, really 40 years ago, but today, January 28th in the year 2024, today, we could leave all fossil fuels in the ground today. That doesn't really save us. The amount of global heating we have now is going to be with us for 1,000 years, 10,000 years. The amount of global heating we have right now is enough to atomize the current Earth dynamic system and have it go searching for another dynamic equilibrium that, if you watch my last video, will be familiar to dinosaurs. No ice anywhere on the planet, all coastal cities flooded and under 200 feet of water, like within, 20, 30 years, something like that, next week. My joke now is everything is next week. If you think it's 50 years from now, no. Start pretending that it's next week because it's next week for somebody. Someone on the planet next week is going to know what I'm talking about. And eventually, after enough next weeks have gone past, everybody's going to know what I'm talking about. Everybody's going to get caught up in this, swept up in this. And if we stop burning fossil fuels right now, and every economist is going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to say, you can't do that. You can't advocate that. There's no science behind that. Oh, well, there's lots of science. It's called physics, motherfucker. I don't want to hear about your economic science. You got no science. You got nothing, okay? You're just a bunch of popes talking about money all the time, like it's the way to heaven. Yeah, shut up about your money. I don't want to hear about your fucking economy. You want some science? I got some science for you. Global heating is going to be with us at some level. Today's level, at least, if not more, probably more, coin toss odds that it's a lot worse, for hundreds, if not thousands of years, possibly even millions. If this planet goes on an excursion and it ends up in a new location in multidimensional phase space, and that's what it's called, multidimensional phase space, sorry, big words. If this planet atomizes and migrates and finds itself in another island of stability in multidimensional phase space, that space will, by odds, look more like something the dinosaurs would recognize. Humans have never existed. In fact, mammals did not exist under the conditions that this Earth system is now headed for lickety-split. We have to stop burning fossil fuels right now, today, right now. And we're hoping that it's not too late. We're just hope against hope that it's not too late, because it might be. It may have been too late 40 years ago, certainly 20 years ago. And today, good luck, but we have to do what we have to do, right? We have to lay fossil fuels in the ground. But our economic growth, our money magic, our temple to progress, and all these things will come crashing down if we don't have fossil fuels. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. That's why we have to talk about societal collapse. If you don't do it, the planet's going to crash your society. It's going to make it impossible to live. You're going to have a spacesuit to go outside. Actual spacesuits, you can get them in any color. And if you do stop burning fossil fuels, then your monetary system, your growth, your temple to economics is all going to come crashing down. That's true. That's why we call this a predicament. That's why we call this a wicked problem. There are no good solutions. If there was a good solution, trust me, they would have come up with it a long time ago. How many IPCC reports have we had? Like 7? How many cops were there? We just got through with 28. Do you think that in all that time, with all those people staring at the same set of numbers year after year after year, all these people hired to look at this, all these governments worried about the future, you think they just overlooked the solution? They just overlooked it. Really, you think that? Oh, there's going to be a solution. No, if there was a solution, they would have stumbled across it. They may have tripped over it by now. If someone may have dropped it on the floor and someone tripped over and said, "Oh, look, there's a solution." Where'd that come from? Okay, they would have tripped over it by now. Oh, but we'll innovate. Yeah, the laws of physics say no. I don't think so. And even if you did, where's the energy going to come from? Well, we'll just burn fossil fuels. Ha ha. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're not going to have energy to air condition people's lives 24/7. You're not going to have that. And that's why most people won't have that. And if you stop burning fossil fuels today, then all the electricity you have for whatever purposes you think you're going to magically use it for, like heating your water, like cooking your food, like habitat and food and clothing, right? After you've met those needs, those daily needs, how much you're going to have left to air condition every place on the planet? How much electricity will you have left after everyone is electrified, every house in North America and Europe, and now everyone's electrified? Oh, and by the way, we had to stop burning fossil fuels. So uh, the 20% of current activity that's electrical, of which 5% is alternative energy. So you're going to have to live on 5% of 20% of all the energy you use to consume because fossil fuels are gone. We just decided that, right? We're saying that's the scenario. Fossil fuels are going to go away. All right. So now you're going to live on 5% of 20% of the energy you used to use. And you don't have an electric car, and you don't have an electric cooktop, and you don't heat your water with electricity, and you don't heat and cool your house with electricity. And all you use electricity for really in your life, other than food, clothing, and shelter, is just vanity projects. You've got lights so that you can put on your makeup and shave. Okay, that's really what it comes down to. Everything else is fossil fuels, even your car, and really even the air conditioning for your home is all fossil fuels because most of your electricity comes from fossil fuels. So by the time they shut off the fossil fuels, because that's the solution to CO2 pollution, which is enhancing the greenhouse effect, which is giving us global heating, since that's the solution, just turn off the fossil fuel tap, leave it in the ground. That's what they have to do. Well, then all that electricity is just going to drain away. You won't have it unless you happen to have solar panels on top of your roof, on your own house or your own business. Unless you have solar panels, oh, and batteries, by the way, and inverters. Okay, you have all that, and you spent the money, and you've got it installed, and it's all working, and it's going to last 20, 30 years. Whew, that's really good. Glad to hear that. Unless you have all that worked out, then you won't have electricity. And you've also invested in electric cooking, electric water heating, electric space heating and cooling. And, if you really feel like you need it, an electric car. Don't recommend it, but yeah, you could make that decision on your own because you've got your own electric solar panels and your own batteries, and you can manage your power for yourself. But all around you, society has just collapsed, and it didn't take very long. By the way, I'm writing it was supposed to be a short story, but it's getting kind of long. The working title is "It's Been 100 Days." That's the title. It's been 100 days, and it's fictional only because it hasn't happened yet. So it's speculative fiction. That's what we call this. It is speculative fiction about what happens when the fossil fuels are shut off and society begins to collapse. And I'm putting a lot of thought into it. It's all physics and human society and human behavior and psychology, and these are formed and all those things. Still working on it. I'm up to day 18, and it's 100 days. So we'll see. I may do it in installments. I may do it in installments. So maybe when I get to day 25, I may do a video. But I'm going to read it here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read it here. So Dr. Eliot Jacobson, I have already begun the process of answering the call And when I have that story figured out, then I'll start doing installments on it. Um, it's not. I'm deliberately not making it like in a zombie apocalypse. It has some uplifting things to say about people, and basically, it's sort of a user's manual on how we might respond to societal collapse and the absence of fossil fuels by forming villages. So that's a bit of a spoiler, I guess, but I don't think it is, because I want it to be known that that's what it's about. This is not doom porn. It's not zombie apocalypse. It's not every man with an AR-15 and a dog. It's meant to be not uplifting necessarily, but certainly more uh, actionable. Actionable. Let's hope so. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on this. I wasn't going to say as much as I did, but I was asked to say something about societal collapse and where we're going, and I guess the final thing I want to say about it is that I'm writing the book. I was writing a short story, but now it's probably more like writing a book. So we'll see what happens, how long that takes me, because I don't have a lot of time for this stuff. Because I'm gearing up for this societal collapse. That's what I'm doing. So I'll talk at you later.